Welcome to the Greater Houston Women's Chamber of Commerce Women Driving Art Education Series. I am Susan Dyson and proud to be the CEO, president, and founder of this amazing chamber. We have such an inspiring program for you today, but first, I can't go any further without your help in thanking this amazing chair of our committee. She is responsible for putting the program together today. So let's give her a big round of applause. Sandra Porter with thank you. And another amazing woman here in the room with us today is Teresa Einhorn. She is the co-chair of the committee. And Sandra and Teresa spend all year coming up with amazing events like this and opportunities for you because they care about you and your tomorrows. And many of our board members are on the audience today, along with our committee chairs. Thank you for taking the time for being with us. Because of your support, we are able to host events like this. And just a short reminder too of all the seniors in the audience to please go online and apply for our scholarship. Tomorrow is the deadline, so we really want to encourage you to get your applications in. It's ghwcc.org. So I'm now going to turn it over to our fabulous chair of the committee, Sandra Porter. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. It's such a delight to be here with you today. I can't tell you how excited I am to have both Lauren and Linda Lorelle here with us. And I first have to say a little shout out to our committee. So the Women Driving Arts Education Committee is a dedicated group of women who really push all year long, as Susan said, to help bring activities and education and engagement to women and girls of all ages in Houston area schools. It's a wonderful group, and I encourage anybody out there to join if you're not already a member. Here today, we have Lauren Anderson, so thrilled, so excited, the beloved and talented former prima ballerina with the Houston Ballet. And Lauren was one of the first African-American ballerinas to make a principal dancer in an American ballet company. So quite an achievement. And we're just thrilled to death to have Linda Lorelle. I know many of you probably remember Linda. She was, I think, 17 years that she hosted the evening news for the NBC affiliate here in Houston, KPRC TV. Linda is in her own right, incredibly successful and accomplished woman. She's won 2 Emmys. She's won 2 Gracies, which are awards given by the American Journalist Awards group. And she's just phenomenal. And we're just so excited to have her. She's going to help us walk through a little bit of a peek inside Lauren's life and show us a little bit about how she achieved her success and some of the challenges she faced along the way. So with that, please join me in welcoming Linda Lorelle.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Hi, everybody. It's so wonderful to have you all here. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the star of our show, the one and only Lauren Anderson. Come on in here, girl. So we get to do this again, don't we, my friend?
Yes, we've done this for years.
Years. Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we won't say how many decades. Okay. So Lauren and I have been friends for a number of years, and I have had the great honor and pleasure of interviewing her many times. And I'm really excited to share a lot of her story with those of you out there, especially you students who are in the process of deciding what you want your lives to look like. And Lauren has got some incredible stories to share. But before we do that, I think we need to show them a little bit of you in action. So we're going to cue up a tape of Lauren in her final performance as the Sugar Plum Fairy. Yeah. So let's take a look.
That
Okay.
is hard to watch.
No. So she's sitting here going, oh my
I'm
God.
sweating.
So I'm sweating. Okay. So tell me, what was going through your mind when you were dancing that as your final performance?
Wow. Well, first I want to say hello to you. Hi, y'all. Well, it was bittersweet because I've been the Sugar Plum Fairy since 1983. And that was, so before you start trying to figure it out, y'all, that performance was in 2006, December of 2006. And I'd been the Sugar Plum Fairy since I was 18 and I retired at 41. And so that's the role I've known the longest. And we've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's funny, and I got to tell this. So as a dancer, you love the Nutcracker because it's the very first thing you do as a young child.
Yeah.
And as the first little ginger cookie that comes out from under the skirt, I used to look at the Sugar Plum Fairy and want to be the Sugar Plum Fairy.
I want to be that.
Then I became the Sugar Plum Fairy. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Because that was like the hardest thing I'd ever done at that point.
Yeah.
Then it became after about 10 years, the role I was the most comfortable with. And then it changed. I went from really hard toe shoes to really soft toe shoes because I didn't want to make a sound. And the quality became different for me. Then she's the one that I leave behind. So it was just like, wow.
So you lived an entire life with just
her.
through the Sugar Plum Fairy.
And then I had to leave her behind.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just, but it was beautiful. I got goosebumps thinking about it. It was fun and wonderful to do. And I remember thinking, enjoy the moment. As I was doing my steps, I'm like, you're not enjoying the moment.
You're telling yourself to enjoy the moment. Yeah, yeah.
So then finally, by the time I got to that variation, actually,
You just danced it. You just danced it. So let's, for our audience out there, take you back to the moment when you knew you wanted to be a dancer. And I really want you to share this story because it's important for the young people out there to hear this, because you did not know what you wanted to do because you didn't even know it even existed. So you didn't know what you didn't know. So tell the story.
So I started dancing way back in 1972, a year that you can't even comprehend. That's okay. And it's only because my father was the assistant principal of high school for the performing arts, and he was hiring dance teachers for his school from Houston Ballet. And he said, they were talking one day and he said, I have an overactive daughter. They said I should put her in ballet. What's the best ballet school? They said Houston Ballet. So I go in at the age of 7. So I go in and I take ballet and it's fun. I mean, it was fun. I liked it.
But you weren't thinking like,
no, I'm not thinking I could be a ballerina.
No.
Oh, no. Then I went to the theater with my mother because my mother took me to the theater. And there was a company that was doing the Nutcracker. It wasn't Houston Ballet's Nutcracker yet, but something at Jones Hall was the Nutcracker. So we went to go see that. Then the next year we went to go see, I didn't know what we were going to go see. And we go into Jones Hall and I'm sitting there. So I'm thinking it's going to be something like the Nutcracker that I saw before. And it was Dance Theater of Harlem. So Dance Theater of Harlem, for those that don't know, is a dance company that was created in the 60s by a man named Arthur Mitchell, who was the first Black principal dancer of a major ballet company in the United States, New York City Ballet. And he retired and thought there needs to be a company for Black people.
Right.
So I don't know this. I just know I'm going to the ballet. So I'm sitting there and I'm excited and ready to see the little ballerinas. And then this Black chick runs across the stage and I went, then there was another one. Then there was another one. And I said to my mom, Mom, there's a whole stage full of them. I'll never forget it. And then at that point, I was on the edge of my seat and they did a ballet called Firebird. And that she had on this red tutu. And I thought, I want to be that. I want to be her. I wanted to be Stephanie Dabney, because that's who did it. I was like, and that's when I decided I wanted to be a ballerina. I didn't think it would happen in Houston. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that's what I wanted to be. But I also didn't realize I hadn't seen a Black ballerina until I saw one.
See, and that's the part that I think is just so breathtaking. When you first said that to me, you know, I had never seen a Black ballerina before. I didn't even know they exist. And there was an entire stage
full of them.
Yes.
Just all different colors of brown.
And this is why representation matters. This is why it's important for, you know, for us to be able to see ourselves reflected in all aspects of society.
Of course.
So you decided you wanted to be a dancer. And so you start on this journey and your parents were just so loving and supportive. But you faced some challenges in terms of your body and how you did not look like the traditional icon of what a ballerina looks like. So talk a little bit about how that made you feel inside and how you dealt with that.
Well, okay. So
I know that's a lot there.
It's a lot because it comes up so many times throughout my life. So the first time it came up for me personally, well, you mentioned my supportive parents. So I'm a parent and I'm going to tell you, we are specifically here to embarrass you. That's why we're here.
That's our mission in life.
That's our mission in life. So my father goes into the office and says to Mr. Stevenson, Ben Stevenson was the director of the company, and he was really instrumental in laying an awesome foundation for the academy. So he was not just the director of the company, but he was also the director of the academy. So my dad goes in and he says, which we often do, because I asked Mr. Sneed about my son and if he was going to be a drummer. Right. So my dad goes in and says, you know, is Lauren, we've invested all this money in these lessons. Is she going to be a ballerina? And Mr. Stevenson had to look my father in the eye and tell the truth, because that's how he is. And he said, well, I don't think that ballet is her thing. I think she has a good singing voice and a great personality. Musical theater might be the way for her to go, but there's a lot of dance in musical theater, and she should keep taking ballet, because ballet is the base of all dance, and it'll get her ahead. She'll have an edge on those people, and she'll be successful on Broadway if she goes on Broadway. I was devastated because I was standing right there. Right. So I could hear all this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm 13. I'm 13. And so I've already decided at 9, I want to be a ballerina. So I've been working towards this. So I leave, you know, I leave the office and my dad says, hang on. I need to talk to Mr. Stevenson. So he has a talk with Ben. I don't know what they talk about. But my dad comes out and I go, Daddy, I don't want to dance anymore. I don't want to take any more classes. He goes, you're taking these classes because I've already paid for them, number one. And we can make a decision at the beginning of the year, but just finish the year. You need to finish to make
what
sure.
You start.
Finish what you start to make sure. So I trudge through the rest of the year. That was in September, and I've got a whole year to go because school starts in September and it ends in the summer. So we go fast forward to January, and it's time for the spring show. And every kid in the academy is in the spring show. So the show is Alice in Wonderland. So we all rush to the call board to see who we are. And it has your last name and the
role
character. Yeah. It said Anderson Alice. My last name is Anderson. It said Anderson Alice. I was like, that can't be me. Alice is white. Okay, let's keep going. Well, Alice in Wonderland, what do we know about her? That's the one thing we know. She's blonde. She wears a blue dress. She's got black shoes on. She goes down the hole. There's a rabbit. All that. Okay.
All that. Right.
So I looked down the cast list and my name's not there. There's no more Andersons. So I'm thinking, okay, they just told me I wasn't going to be a ballerina, and now they're also not. I'm
not going to be in the spring show.
Not in the spring show. What? So now I have nothing to lose. So I traipse in there and I'm like, why am I not, why am I not in the spring show? And he looked at me and went, darling, you're Alice. And I went, I'm like, how can I be Alice? Alice is white. She's like the whitest of the white girls. And he looked at me and he took my face and he goes, darling, you're a dancer and a dancer dances. And I was like,
And now see, that gives me chills.
and I walked out of there just on cloud nine, knowing that the ballerina in Alice in Wonderland is a tiger lily, but the lead in Alice in Wonderland is Alice. So there's a place for me.
Yeah.
It may not have been the place I thought I was supposed to be, but there was a place that's going to get me to that place.
What
where
a
I think I'm
beautiful
going to go.
life lesson there. It's
For
not
me.
the place that I thought I was supposed to be, but there is a place for me.
That's right. And that was my entry point.
Right. There's a place for all of us. And by the way, we are going to have questions from you guys out there. So be thinking about it. Put your questions in the chat. And before we wrap everything up, we're going to get to as many of your questions as we can. So there was a place for you.
All you need is a little bit of hope, just this much.
Yeah.
And you get your foot in the door and you can kick it down. Because what happened is I kept dancing in the academy that he was running.
Mhm.
I kept working hard. And he even says this later in a 60 Minutes interview that he did about me. He goes, she proved me wrong. And I had to hire her. She danced so well, I had to hire her. And I'd never heard, you always try to please your parents and your teacher or your director. And I'd never heard him say that until years later.
Yeah. It's a tough world. So the ballet world, and you and I have talked about this, is one that is very demanding, very disciplined. And the way that dancers are taught and guided can be pretty brutal.
It can be. It's just like being a football player
Mhm.
or basketball. It's just like being an athlete. Your
Mhm.
coaches are not always nice. They're
Mhm.
barking at you, telling you what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn the technique,
Yeah. You have to
Right.
learn the technique, but you also have to maintain your sense of
your
self.
sense of self.
Which can, and we're gonna go there in a minute, but I want to get back to Ben saying that going from she's probably better suited for Broadway, and then to the point where he's like, she proved me wrong, I had to hire her.
So I
What did you
graduated.
do to get to that point? Because the work that the physical work
Yeah.
that you did on your body to literally change many aspects of your body. So share a little bit about that with our audience.
Okay, so the thing about ballet is looking the part.
Mhm,
You don't have to be the part. You just got to look the part. Because I couldn't be the part because
mhm,
the part wasn't
mhm.
naturally what I had.
Yeah.
I had a track runner's body. I should have been in the Olympics or something. I mean, I say that, but anyway. But in my mind, no. But I was definitely the mold for a track runner, long jumper,
Mhm.
because I had a superpower in ballet, and that was jumping. I could jump higher than any boy in the company, any man, any
Mhm.
boy in the school, any man in the company. That
Mhm.
was like my thing.
Mhm.
And in doing that, I built a lot of muscle. I mean, I lift a weight like this, and this is what happens. It doesn't take much at all. And I'm lucky in that. But that doesn't work for ballet.
Mhm.
Even though all dancers are muscular, because all dancers are athletes. Because we dance 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Big
But-
time athletes.
Big time athletes.
Mhm.
But you still have to look long and lean.
Long way.
So I became a pescatarian, which is a vegetarian that eats seafood. Then, which is not a vegetarian, then isn't. But you know what I'm saying. So
No
but
meat.
no meat,
No meat.
no meat.
Yeah.
And then I did Pilates, along with changing the way I worked. So I was working like this because I wanted to be, and I
Mhm.
had to soften it up a little bit and
Mhm.
work kind of out of my, above my hips. I had to
Mhm.
work differently.
Mhm.
And I figured that out because you have to be smart about it, the way I worked. And I still jumped. I still did things strong. I still had my crazy personality.
Mhm.
I just worked differently.
And what did you do with your feet? Talk
Oh
about-
my
Talk
goodness.
about, we got to
Because
talk
they're
about the
less
feet,
than
girl. We
lovely.
got to talk about the feet.
Okay, so
Because feet are everything in
feet are
ballet.
everything
Feet
in
are
ballet.
everything in ballet.
So I used to put my, okay, back in the day, we had these things called telephone books, which y'all don't know about. But I put telephone books on my feet.
Oh my
I would put my legs like this and do my homework. So I was always stretching, and I'd take telephone books and put them on the ends of my feet to make my feet bendy.
Yes.
I'd also take them and put them under the sofa to stretch them.
Yeah.
But now they have cute little TheraBands and stuff you can do that with, but they didn't have that back in my day.
Mhm.
And my toes are janky. Yeah, they have knobbly bits and stuff
Yeah,
on them, but that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They look good in the point shoe.
Yeah.
So in my point shoes, I'd also dance over
Over.
on my point shoe
So
to
you
make
could stretch, yeah.
to stretch my foot, to make it look, to have the illusion of the
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
So I lengthened my body, really worked on my feet, worked on my extension. I was in the studio, the regular time we're in the studio, and I went early and I left late. I worked extra hard,
Extra hard.
extra hard.
When did you see or know that everything that you were doing, all of the things that you just articulated, that it was working, that you could see the change?
When I was 15, we did Alice in Wonderland again, and I was the ballerina.
You weren't
I was the
Alice this
Tiger
time.
Lily.
You were the Tiger Lily. So you were the lead.
I was the lead. And then we did Snow Maiden, and I was not Snow Maiden, but I was the other lead, Kapava. So I saw that it was working. And so I thought, okay, great. I'm not going to get into this company. I'll go fly on a plane, go to New York and audition for Dance Theater of Harlem, that company that I saw when I was 9.
Mhm,
And that was my dream. That's what I was going to do.
mhm.
Well, lo and behold, I graduated from high school and I auditioned for the Houston Ballet. And I got in 1983.
What did that feel like, knowing?
I
Did
couldn't
you
believe it.
flash back to that conversation with Ben?
Yes,
Of course.
yes. I said, but you said,
But you said.
but you said, and he went. So
You proved me wrong.
basically, that just showed me, you know
Yeah.
what? If you really, so if you don't work hard and you're talented, you're mediocre, and you might not get that spot.
Right.
No matter what, and this doesn't just have to do with ballet, this isn't anything, because
Right,
this is
this
even
is
what I
life.
do now.
Yeah.
If I work that little extra bit, I have a greater chance of getting what I want.
Mhm.
And all we want is what we want. Really.
Yeah.
Right. So I realized if I work hard, I'll get it. And so then my dream comes true. I become a quarter ballet member. That means I get in at the entry level. So now I'm like, okay, you know what? I really want to be a soloist because I want to be the chick in the middle in that red tutu.
In that
I
red
really
tutu.
do. I don't have to be a principal dancer, but I really want to be a soloist. So I worked really hard for the next 3 years. And lo and behold, in 1987, I was promoted to a soloist.
Mhm.
And I was like, I have arrived. And I got to wear brown tights. So now that I moved to the middle, out of the line of pink girls, I get to wear brown tights.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So when you were in the corps de ballet, you had to wear pink tights because
'cause
it
we have to
was
look
because
alike.
you have to look alike.
Right.
So really the only thing that your beautiful chocolate brown skin was the only thing that really stood out
On top,
and on
in my
top
arms.
in
yeah.
your arms. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how is that?
Horrible, because the pink tights always looked gray. They never looked pink, and my
Yeah.
legs looked bigger because I had gray lumps on the bottom of my body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like always fighting this battle of not looking too chunky.
Mhm.
When even fresh out of the package, those pink tights still looked gray on my legs.
Yeah.
So then I did 2 pair of tights. Well, then you really look chunky because you got 2 pair of
'Cause
tights
you're
on.
right, exactly.
So, you know,
So you go from corps de ballet to
Soloist.
soloist and you get the brown tights.
I get the brown tights when I'm dancing by myself. And even if there's 4 of us on stage, I get to wear my brown tights with my brown shoes. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, and the company took the time to light it properly, because you light a pair of brown tights and they could look orange if the
Yeah.
lighting is
Yeah.
not right.
Mhm.
So it was just nice to have a long line, and I didn't have to fight the extra battle
Mhm.
of that.
Mhm.
And it looked great. And all of a sudden I'm getting ballerina roles.
Yeah.
So,
So how long did it take you to go from soloist to prima?
to principal dancer or
Yes.
prima, because those
Well,
are 2 different things.
Okay, so so we have corps de ballet. So we're getting a lesson in ballet.
Corps de
Corps de
ballet,
ballet,
soloist,
soloist,
Principal.
principal.
And then as a
prima.
principal,
Okay.
you can become a prima. So
Mhm.
principal dancer, that happened in 1990. I became the first Black chick to be a principal dancer in the Houston Ballet.
Yes. Yes.
Very few in the world, I found out later. I didn't, now the thing is this, I wasn't thinking I want to be this first Black chick. No, I just want to be
You just
Oh.
want, yeah.
really good dancer.
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mhm. Mhm.
Black, I've been Black my whole life, so that wasn't an issue for me.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just wanted to be.
It's like, I want to be the best dancer and oh, by the way, I'm Black. And that
Yeah.
had not been achieved before
No,
by someone who looks like you.
Right.
And so that was a big deal.
huge,
Still is a big deal.
huge.
Yeah. And then from principal to prima.
Well, that happens when you've done a certain amount of roles. So when you do the lead in Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Les Sylphides, La Sylphide, Bayadere, Giselle, Nutcracker, and there's one more, Sleeping Beauty,
Hello.
then you are officially a prima ballerina.
I
But
never knew
according
that.
to the Bolshoi, because the Russians think that they invented ballet and it was actually the French, but don't tell the Russians.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a whole
So,
nother-
yeah, that's a whole nother
story.
thing.
Yeah.
But in ballerina terms, when you've done that, you have officially been
Yeah.
your prima ballerina.
Okay. So now let's talk about the struggles. And we talked a little bit about it a moment ago in terms of just the way that dancers are brought along to become the best. It's very, very austere. And some dancers develop a variety of different ways, many of them not healthy.
Coping mechanisms?
Coping mechanisms. Okay, let's talk about your coping mechanisms and the impact that that had on your life and your career.
Well, okay, so I wanted to be thin, I wanted to be pretty, I wanted to be taller, I wanted to be this, I wanted to be everything I wasn't, because I never thought I was good enough, right? And that's okay. And I didn't even think I was smart enough. We'll talk about that later because we'll talk about college later.
Okay.
Because I avoided going to college because I didn't think I was smart enough. Not smart. That's what wasn't smart, but that's okay. And I fixed that later on. But yeah, to cope with the stress and trauma, basically, I drank uncontrollably. And I didn't know that my drinking was out of control until it was too late, until it was way out of control. After the show, I could have the best show ever. And after the show, it still wasn't good enough. And I never thought I needed to stay at this place of, the adrenaline and the applause and all that. I needed to stay there. And so I would drink after the show and then keep drinking until I passed out, right? And then eventually that became a problem. So I had to get help. Or I was gonna die.
How long did that go on?
Oh, well, the out of control, because you don't know you're out of control until it's too late.
Yeah.
I'd say, wow, I retired in when? Let's see, 06? Probably almost a decade.
Wow.
Of, 96. So when I got back from Chile, yeah,
Okay. And so there was drinking, there was also some drug use.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that I could drink and not be sloppy drunk. So then I know
How did that,
it didn't
how
work.
did that work?
It didn't work. It just
But
made
your
me-
thinking was,
my thinking was, okay, so if I do these pills and I snort this and I do this and I do that, I won't be so drunk and I won't seem drunk when it was a mess. I cratered. My body deteriorated, my mind deteriorated. I couldn't remember anything.
and you kept dancing through all of this.
As
through-
best I could.
As best you could. So what was your come to Jesus moment when you turned your life around and got sober?
Well, I got pulled over and got arrested, like was put in a car. And I thought, how does the Sugar Plum Fairy end up here? And I had tickets that I forgot to pay. So there was a warrant out for my arrest. A speeding ticket I forgot to pay. And there was a warrant out for my arrest. So then when you have a warrant out for your arrest, they take you to jail until you pay your warrant. So of course my warrants were paid and I got out, but then I had this potential felony for having drug possession. How does the prima ballerina of the Houston Ballet get in this position? Yeah. So it was the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So from there, I go to treatment. And that's not what worked. What worked was the 12-step program and my counselors. And a lot of prayer. But I mean, that's what I think the treatment was the way to get me there.
Yeah.
And now I've not had a drink. I've been sober for almost 12 years. I know. My son,
You are the picture of health.
Oh, my son deserves that, right?
Mm.
My kid deserves the best mother,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I often wonder like how much longer I would have danced. I probably would have just retired, right?
If you hadn't done all of that to
all
your
that to my
body,
body.
you would have been able to dance many
Now,
more years.
because
more likely.
I feel as though I'm Superwoman.
And you look like Superwoman.
Well, I left my cape in the car. No, I really think, so the average, let's do a little bit of this. The average age of retirement for a dancer, a ballerina, a girl dancer is 29, and the average age of retirement for a male dancer is 26. And I say average because if you get into a company at 17 or 18
Mhm.
and you hurt yourself right away, so there's that.
Yeah.
Or you make it to the bitter end until you probably should stop dancing.
Mhm.
And that's normally in your 40s,
Mhm.
30s or 40s.
Mhm.
So the average age ends up being
Mhm.
in their 20s.
Mhm.
And that's about when people retire.
Yeah.
Like, you know, then you have time for another career. A lot of people go to college while they're dancing or
Okay.
after school or whatever. But,
So, all
but I
right.
retired at 41
Okay.
and I figured I probably would have danced another 5, 6, or 7.
At least, yeah. All right. So we have 15 minutes left. I want you to, first of all, say the primary message that you want the young people who are watching today to get from your story. And then I want to take your questions so that we get some of those in too. So go.
Well, just know that you're enough, right? Just know that you exactly how you are is enough. Now, do you need to go to school and learn? Yes. Is it great to get higher education? Absolutely, because I wish I would not do it the way I did it. I actually put myself through college in 2011 and I don't know why I didn't think I was smart enough. I got A's all the way up to my very last class, which was economics, but that's okay. But I went to school 30 years after graduating from high school. That first year was the hardest thing I'd ever done. So if I'd gone to school right after high school, I would have probably
You would have
wanted a
aced it.
master's.
Yeah.
Because I loved learning. I had
Mhm.
no idea.
Mhm.
Wish I'd gotten a master's degree or at least a bachelor's degree because with the knowledge that I have of dance, I could have gone to a college and had tenure by now and run a dance department. So
Right.
now when I go to colleges, I don't get to go
Mhm.
the way I want to go because I didn't get a degree.
But
right
we
after
should
high
let
school.
people know that what you're doing now. So Lauren is still with the Houston Ballet, not as a dancer, but
37
as
years later.
but as an educator.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
working with young people in the schools. So tell them a little bit, and then somebody bring me your questions, please, so I can start asking. So go ahead, tell them what you're doing.
Well, now I work in education and community engagement. I'm the associate director of my department. I'm the head of my department, and I go into schools and bring dance and arts integration. I've been to Young Women's College Prep before.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, we bring dance programs into schools.
Mhm. And why is that so important? Trying to connect dance and art in general to other parts of the curriculum? Thank you.
Well, it's important because not that I want to make other ballerinas. I do want to make other ballerinas. Don't get me wrong. And I get to do that in conservatory dance schools all over the world. But the skills and the social emotional skills that you get when you work as a team, when you have the arts in your life, arts and sports and that type of thing, gives you the skills to be successful in whatever you'll do, no matter what your job is.
Yeah.
Which I found out because I do more non-dancing stuff now because I have to create programs and get my gaggles of teachers, I say gaggles, of teachers together to go out and teach in the community. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So let's get to some of your
Yeah,
questions.
I want to know what they want to know.
Yeah. Okay. So Lily wants to know, what was your favorite show?
Oh, Lily, there's nothing better than having a ballet created for you, specifically with you in mind. So the ballet was Cleopatra.
Yeah.
And it was
I saw
so
that.
nice to be Cleopatra because I'd already been every fairy, every animal, every fairy tale. It was nice to be a woman that actually walked the face of the earth and a strong woman and a queen.
Yes. Yes.
So that's my favorite one.
Yes.
Cleopatra.
Yeah. And I saw you dance that and she was brilliant.
Oh no, it was awesome. I had 7 costume changes. And It was
Oh,
fabulous.
and that's a perfect segue because
Okay.
the next question from Ava is, what was your favorite costume?
The Sugar Plum Fairy, because it's pink and it's really pretty. And that one was made for me too. Yeah, the Sugar Plum Fairy, because some tutus are really high up and they're itchy. And the kind of lower they sit, the better they
Yeah.
feel.
I bet, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. This is a good one.
Oh, I
love.
take that back.
what?
Firebird. I forgot I got to play Firebird.
I was gonna say-
that red costume
Yeah.
was the bomb.com.
And that was full circle too.
Yeah, and it had this little tail feather thing that
Yeah,
stuck up. And
yeah,
that was really
yeah,
nice too.
Yeah.
And we're
And,
about red.
and
We
when I
like
say
red.
the full circle, meaning a full circle moment from
Yeah.
having watched Firebird on
Yep.
stage at 9 years old
and then
and then to
becoming her
dance
at
fire. It's like, I
30
want
or
to be
something.
that.
Yeah.
You became that.
I became that.
You became that.
Yeah.
So you can become what you visualize.
Yes, you can.
Are you listening, young ladies? You can
Yes, you can.
become what you
and
visualize.
and if you trust the process of the way to get there,
Yeah.
like trust the process. And when I say that, I mean, not just think this is how it's supposed to be done, because you don't know everything.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm starting to sound like a parent, sorry.
That's okay,
But you do
are a
have to
parent.
trust you have to trust those processes, and then it ends up better than you could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this one too. What advice would you give your high school self?
Oh, my high school self. Stop looking at these other people and trying to be like them, because you can't be like them at all. The only person that can do you the way you can do you is you, which means that you'll do you the best. You won't do the other people very well. It doesn't matter about those other people. I would have told myself that. I may not have gone the way I went
Mhm.
if I'd really known that,
Right.
right? That I was enough.
And I would say too, that if, when you started talking about the struggles that you had been through and you falling into, alcohol and drug abuse, a lot of that was, I wanted to be thinner. I wanted to be prettier.
I wanted to be
wanted
everything I wasn't.
everything that you weren't, and not realizing that just
I
as
was
you
okay.
are
Was good
and
enough.
if you had felt that way, then you would not have had the need to go off
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
self-medicate.
Yeah.
So you're enough. Okay. You're all enough.
Absolutely.
Every single one of you.
Just
You're-
like you
Just
are.
like you are enough. Okay. This is from Takea. Is there a set age to start ballet in order to be a ballerina?
No, because once you start ballet and you're in the studio, you're a ballerina. You might not be a professional ballerina, but you're a ballerina. Once you put the leotard and the tights and you stand at the bar and put your feet in the most unnatural thing you can do, that, right? So I say to be successful in one of the top 5 ballet companies, you want to start younger. But there are other companies, there's regional dance companies, there's companies in your backyard, there's companies in your neighborhood and ballet schools
Mhm.
that you can dance in. There's companies that have adults, companies that have college students. I mean, I've worked with them
Mhm.
because I work in every company I can in Houston. Yep.
Okay. we're
So if
doing
you
good
want to
on time.
dance,
Dance.
there's a place for you.
And it's so freeing. It's so freeing. I took
It
my
is.
first ballet class when I was 4. Did you know that?
You started before me.
Apparently. I did. I took my first ballet
That's
class
awesome.
at 4.
And I did
I
know
did.
that. I've heard this.
Yeah. Okay. What was your most challenging role
Mm.
and why was it so challenging?
Okay, so the role of Sleeping Beauty, Aurora in Sleeping Beauty, was challenging because she's a 16-year-old that, she has a birthday and then she pricks her finger and she goes to sleep and then she sleeps and then she has to get the prince to come. And there's no real drama. It sounds dramatic, but there's no real drama for her. Swan Lake, she's a tortured woman inside a swan. Cinderella, she's the rags to riches story, tortured by her stepmom. And I mean, there's drama in all the other roles. So when you just have pure technique, it's harder to bring the audience in. I think when you have drama,
Yeah.
it's easier for the audience to be on
Yeah.
your side.
So there's not so much of a story there. There's not conflict and yeah.
There's you just
Not
talk,
a
you
lot
just-
of
it's a lot of
this.
dancing.
Yeah, just a lot of
It's
dancing.
just a lot of dancing. And the thing that I loved about dancing was becoming the music and telling a story. And
And that was one of
making
your
you
one of
feel
your
something.
greatest strengths was your musicality and just your ability to make people feel the music and feel what you were feeling as you were on stage
well,
dancing.
great, because that's what I was trying to do for 40 years.
Mission accomplished, girl.
Thank you.
Mission
Okay, good.
accomplished, totally. Okay. Who's your favorite ballerina, past and current?
Okay, Y'all got janky. That's janky. I don't want to throw shade. All right. My favorite ballerina passed, and it's because I looked up to her, and that's Virginia Johnson, who was with Dancing of
I
Harlem.
remember her.
Now, okay, because of the phone and social media, there's so many. I mean, there's so many. And I don't know if you guys know who Misty Copeland is. She's a dear friend of mine now. She's awesome, but there's so many. Celine Giddings. There's just, okay, there's tons. Go on Instagram and look
Yeah.
up ballet dancer and go
Oh,
like
I
this.
follow so many
Yeah. They're
accounts on ballet.
amazing.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
do crazy things with their legs. And
it's
put 'em up
just,
here
it's
and-
insane
It's
the way, yeah, it is. So
It's-
let's talk about Misty for a minute.
Yeah, that's my
Okay,
girl.
because, yeah, so I've not had the pleasure of meeting her, so I'm gonna have to, you're gonna
When
have
she
to
comes
hook
to
that up.
town, we'll go have sushi.
Please,
we'll do it.
okay, she is breathtaking.
She's okay. So, and the thing with Misty is, okay, all right. So she's in American Ballet Theater, which is the #1 company in the United States. There's New York City Ballet and American Ballet Theater. They go back and forth. And Misty Copeland became the first Black principal dancer with American Ballet Theater in 2015, which is a big deal. Now, we keep having this conversation because 25 years before that, I became, okay. And then 10 years before that, there was Deborah Austin at Pennsylvania Ballet. And then before that, in the 50s, there was, and then before that, there was, so we keep having this conversation. But she's the one that came in during this social media thing.
Right,
And she became kind of like this activist.
yeah,
Now, ballerinas normally don't have a voice.
right.
We don't talk. That's
Yeah.
the one thing we do is we communicate without.
Misty talks, yeah.
Misty talks.
You might remember her from the Under Armour commercials. If
She
you-
was an Under
She was the
Armour
Under
girl.
Armour, yeah, I mean,
She
that's
was
when
in
she really
Prince.
broke
She
out.
did a
Yeah.
video with Prince. She was on
Yeah.
his tour.
Yeah,
She's
amazing.
done a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have 3 minutes left.
Uh-oh.
And I want to do some quick fire questions, but the last question from the ladies in the audience, if there were something you could have done differently, what would that be? Good question.
I would have not become an alcoholic. But the thing is, through that experience, I get to go into the juvenile detention center and talk to those girls. I get to work with homeless girls on the street. I get to, because of the experience, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise, they wouldn't even listen to me.
they can relate to you because
can
you've been
relate.
there, because you've
Right.
been there.
I get to help other people that have this problem
Because you've walked in those
because
shoes.
I walked in the shoes.
Yeah. Okay, last few questions. What's your favorite word?
Joy,
Least favorite word?
hate,
What turns you on?
key lime pie,
Woo! Okay. What turns you off?
avocados.
Really?
They're squishy and
I
they're
love
green.
avocados.
They're caterpillar
I
guts.
eat
Ew.
avocados
Well, that's
every
you.
day.
You're asking me.
Okay, I'm
not-
sorry.
I'll ask you what turns you off.
No,
Okay. I
no,
mean,
I'm the interviewer here.
okay.
Okay.
Bless
All right.
you.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter, children's laughter.
Yes. What sound or noise do you hate?
Crickets.
Okay.
I don't like the
Crickets.
sound of
Okay,
crickets.
no crickets.
And I live in
What-
Texas, so that's really
That's
okay.
not a good thing. Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I thought attorney, I went, psychiatrist,
Okay. And what profession would you just absolutely not ever do?
doctor. No needles, no
No
scalpels,
blood,
no
no
blood.
blood. Okay. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done. Well done.
Well done, my darling. Well done. You are still a beautiful work in progress, and your light is just so brilliant. And everything that you are and that you do is just a gift to our world. And I feel so blessed to call you a friend.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I love you. Love you too. Thank you, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed being here with you.